You remember when The Walking Dead ruined Magic? Well, now it's also going to ruin cEDH. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another cEDH video. For a change of pace, we're going to be playing with Daryl, Hunter of Walkers in competitive EDH. The deck list comes to us from N. Krenko, who is an awesome deck builder, often messing around with Legacy and Vintage Spice. So let's see what's going on with this commander. Beginning of your upkeep, target opponent creates 3 Walker tokens. That is 3 2/2 zombie tokens. You can tap Daryl to deal 2 damage to target creature, and whenever a zombie an opponent controls dies, draw a card. So this is a very strange commander because it gives your opponents creatures, which can be good or can be bad. You can use this as sort of a politicking tool, and by tapping Daryl, you can also draw a card every turn. If these zombies are chump blocking, you can draw cards. So this is essentially red-green card advantage and politics in the command zone, which is sort of an interesting niche. A lot of times, red-green deck lists kind of end up being these turbo, cast something big and dumb deck lists, whereas this time around, we're going to kind of settle in and expect for a slightly longer game in some cases. And after we give our opponents a bunch of zombie tokens, as this is going to happen at each one of our upkeeps, we're going to cast some sort of board wipe, preferably something that does not take Daryl out in process. And we're going to use that to draw 6 cards at a time. So this is kind of the theory that the deck is built around. In terms of actually winning the game, we are sort of a Splinter Twin deck. And one of our easiest ways to win is assemble Hyrex Tower Scout with something like Kiki-Jiki or Splinter Twin that allows you to just make infinite copies of this. So you can Kiki-Jiki or Splinter Twin this card, or maybe something like a Combat Celebrant for your win. So if this card hasn't been exerted this turn, you can exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and you get an additional combat step. The idea is you have the original version of this creature, right? So you have your Splinter Twin on this. You tap, you make your copy, you have this token version now. The token version attacks in, you exert the token, which untaps the original, and this results in you having infinite combat steps. If a 4/1 is good enough to kill all of your opponents, great. Otherwise, you might need something else there as some additional support. Conceptually, there's another combo that does a similar thing, and it's more of a 1-card combo. So you play Godo, which allows you to search your library for an equipment card and put it onto the battlefield. And when Godo attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control, and then there's additional combat phase. And Godo can go and fetch up Helm of the Host. That can give you a copy of Godo, except it isn't legendary. And this is another way to kind of do a combat-related combo. So this is what the entire deck looks like. There are other combos in here. It's 100 cards, so I don't necessarily want to go through all of them, but we also have lines that could allow us to go infinite with Dualcaster Mage. Another way to win is just using Itali, and we can natural order or savage, or no, this is still green. Yeah, we can natural order or savage order for this creature to put a 7/7 into play that can essentially become a Blightsteel Colossus that generates a lot of value on ETB. So essentially, we are going to have a decent number of board wipes. Many of them will specifically do exactly 2 points of damage to kill all these zombies without necessarily killing Daryl. Again, we have Dualcaster Mage Twin Flame as another way to win. And then we also have some value cards that can let us copy our opponent's stuff. Bloodthirster is another one that I am going to highlight just because I didn't know this one. It's a demon from the Warhammer 40k set, 6/6 Flying Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, untap it. You get an additional combat phase this turn. It can't attack a player it has already attacked this turn. This is very similar to a Port Razor effect if you have played some casual EDH. So we're going to figure this deck out as we go along, kind of see how it feels. Should you like what you see and you need some cEDH cards, check out TOAmagic.com. They've always got great Eternal staples, and cEDH is an Eternal format after all. When you're there, use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order, and let's see how this whole Daryl thing ends up going. Okay, let's take a look here. My opening hand has 2 mana. I've got a Collector Oof to start, but kind of a lot of nothing else. I have no acceleration here. I think I am just going to take my free mulligan. Hope nobody Collector Oofs. Is this hand keepable? I can Chrome Mox, get 1 color, play Soul Ring, work towards this. I have turn 2 Manglehorn. This probably does not have all that much artifact mana in it. This feels risky. What position am I in? Where's Dustin? I'm in position 3 with this. I have a green player before me that could Collector Oof or Manglehorn and really mess up my hand. I'm going to go deeper than this. Oh, hey, Mana Crypt. How quickly can I just cast this? I'm going to keep this. I maybe just want to put this in the deck. I don't know, I might need to get rid of this, because I need colored cards for Chrome Mox and creatures for Fauna Shaman. That feels weird, though. Alright, that goes back. Just a quick note here as an aside to the audience. Yesterday I queued for 15 minutes and failed at recording. And today I queued for 10 minutes to get a match. So I'm maybe not the most excited about trying to do more competitive EDH videos in the future, as just logistically recording with them is seeming difficult. All right, so it's our next player's turn. The Sisay player didn't do much. Sorry, I'm going to just zoom in on the commanders real quick for those who maybe aren't the most familiar with cEDH. So the player over here is kind of a control combo deck. Sisay is a creature combo deck. I don't really know what's up with Azusa, but Blood Moon discriminates against most people, minus the mono green player. So we are in for Blood Moon here. I don't have to play around a daze or anything. I'm probably going to Chrome Mox Fauna Shaman. So I guess I am just going to go ahead and do that now. And let's, okay, sick. Our Blood Moon resolved. That probably pretty close to takes 2 players out of the game, and maybe leaves us pretty close to a 1v1 scenario, at least in the short term. Like, this is a 4-color deck, this is a 5-color deck. The Azusa is going to have a ton of basics, and hopefully I can just kind of get Daryl going. Now, there is plenty of artifact mana in this format, so in a couple of turns, these players may find ways to get themselves back into the game, but this is very, very likely a strong start. Yeah, sure. Raw mana amount doesn't matter. Something like a talisman matters. Well, that can give them red, and that can give them green that can't really use. All right, well, there's some colored mana. Oh, a spell? Esper Sentinel, yeah. So in case any of you are wondering like why I played out the Chrome Mox on my turn, effects like Esper Sentinel, Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora are really, really common in this format. So in cEDH, there's this tension between wanting to play out all of your cheap spells on your own turn before these effects come down, and not wanting to do it because it makes a Dockside Extortionist bigger. And notably, this Whip Flare will not kill Esper Sentinel, as this does damage to non-artifact creatures. You know, it could end up taking out some of the other stuff that's over here, though. Looks like this player just fully... Fuck me! Well, this is why I mulliganed that, I think, first and second hand. That's not an artifact, so, like, this is not the end of the world, but my turn is way worse. I don't get to just jam Daryl anymore, which was my intended thing. Tails never fails. See? Never fails. So I think I have to let this player draw a card. I think opening up my artifact mana is just very, very, very important here. So take your card. Oh, I should not actually auto-yield here, because I can play Arcane Signet off Mana Crypt afterwards. It appears that I did not get the rest of my turn. It's relevant, but probably not the end of the world. Yeah, relevant but not the end of the world feels accurate. I'm down a mana for future turns. Oh, what the hell is this? When enchanted creature dies, that creature controller may search their library for a creature card, put it on the battlefield. Okay, yeah, sure, got it. Honestly, fair. I'll take the one. Oh, it looks like this Dustin player has fully just left the game. Let's get rid of them. I imagine the Azusa player will now, like, play Azusa and vomit some lands into play. Okay. Tails never fails. Told you. Ooh, how close are we to this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I had played out the other thing, I could uncounterable Atali this turn. Built. I guess it's not uncounterable. I do still control the Blood Moon. I've got 2 mana after Daryl. I can't play Halfling and Pattern of Rebirth instantly. I could play Halfling, 3 mana Birthing Pod, activate, get a 2-drop of some kind, and here's where I need to actually pull up the deck list. Get Dockside instantly, which isn't actually all that good. Let's maybe not go that route. Voidmere doesn't seem the best right now. I think I'm just gonna cast my commander here. I don't think I'm going to play Voidmere because this is symmetrical, and this lets me cast stuff for free. I think I'm going to go ahead and just call it a turn, and then I can use this to start pinging these utility creatures. The Timnacrom player is somewhat the Timnacrom player is somewhat constrained on mana here. There is the Crom off the Lotus. I imagine that I am going to keep taking all of the incidental damage here, but we have 40 life to work with, so this is not really a big deal. Land? Tempt with Discovery. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Each opponent will search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield. I think I'm into this. I want basic forest. I can now do a Chaos Warp at end of turn if I would like. Opponent does not have basics to search out, as they are a 4-color deck. So now I could do something like Chaos Warp this Crom. Would let my opponent draw a card off Esper Sentinel. But getting this out of play, especially if I end up wanting to multi-spell, seems kind of like a big deal. So I'm going to give my opponent a card. Opponent gets a Steam Vents. So now I have green to do something like Delighted Halfling, put Pattern of Rebirth onto it, and then put some terrible, awful monster into play. You can have the zombies. Look at that. Tails never fails. Hey. Oh, let's make our land drop. It enters untapped. Without knowing what I'm going to get, I assume that this is going to be broken in some capacity. I could Voidmere first, so that free counter spells from this player are not active. I think I'm into that. I have the mana to pay for this and still do 4 for Pattern of Rebirth. Let's see if this resolves. It does. I think at this point I need to look at my deck. Godo does not instantly have haste, but this will do. So with Godo combo, do I have? Is it on attack? Where's the helm? At the beginning of combat on your turn. Sure. Let's do Godo things. Yes. Oh, okay. It doesn't attach, so I'll need to do that next turn. Or no, I don't. Or yes, I do. Okay, so I have kind of a pseudo win sitting on board. One of the players has conceded. So now this is a 2-person game where we'll see if they can answer the Godo. One of the things I've disliked about playing online is that nobody ever uses chat to say, hey, can you answer that, or are we dead, or anything. Like, the first player who conceded didn't ask anyone about the Blood Moon before conceding. The second player who conceded didn't say, like, hey, do you have a Disenchant Infect, or literally any removal spell? But it turns out they did not have anything, and the game is over. I made some mistakes in that one, and I maybe didn't know how to play this deck, but, we're figuring out as we go along.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out.
Okay, so we have 2 Timna Crom players, including one of the ones that we just beat, and then a Grand Arbiter Augustin the 4th player to make my spells more expensive. My first hand is basically entirely mana, so even though I am paired against a deck that is likely to be stack C, this is literally 7 mana sources. I don't think I am into this. I think that's going to be clunky. Elf, Druid, Human, Archer, Elf, Human, Tyrannid, Scout. I'm going to assume that Dockside fixes this. Okay, so some of my opponents have mulliganed pretty deep here. So this player was on 5, this player was on 4, and then drew their first card for turn. So numerically speaking, we're starting in a pretty good spot. We're in 3rd position, so like some shit can happen. Got a turn 2 Dockside if I feel like I need that. There is a Mana Vault. So Mana Vault notably is a one-time burst of mana. If I were to guess, I would guess that that would be a burst to get Crom into play. This opponent really needs to get raw cards, and Timna and Crom can both accomplish that. They would like to get Crom into play before something like Grand Arbiter happens. Once Grand Arbiter is in play, Crom just kind of innately becomes worse. It seems like it's just plains go. A Pyroclasm is not great, given the context of my hand here, but we'll live. So, just generally talking about some cEDH theory, the texture of this game is very likely to be different than the texture of the previous game. Because, are you just not playing any lands and you kept your hand? Oh, you are playing your land in the second main phase like a hipster. Sure. Anyway, the texture of this game is likely to be different than the texture of other games because now there's 1, 2, 3 counterspell players. Not a single spell got countered in the previous game, whereas this time around, like, we are pretty likely to see counterspells fired off on win attempts and other critical cards. We've got 2 artifacts in play for Dockside here already. Dockside is free. We would like Dockside to be much better than free. We would like Dockside to be netting mana. We do have some things to be concerned about over here. But my opponent here did not play any mana rocks on turn 1. Alright, there's the Crom that we expected. I 100% expect to take this damage right here, given that I just bullied this opponent out of the previous game. I don't think it's correct for me to be the one attacked here, but I think it's going to happen. Oh, they're good. They're good. They did not spite. So the reason that you tend to go after black players early in the game for cEDH is because ad nauseum is a life total based resource that is very, very strong. So going and if you're not sure who to attack, defaulting to the players with black mana pips in their deck is usually pretty good. I expect mana blind obedience. Artifacts and creatures enter tapped. That makes this significantly worse. Also makes my Dockside worse. I'm not sure that I want to just immediately jam Dockside anyway into 3 blue players that could have clone effects. I guess how many basic lands are in my deck? Oh, plenty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay, I've got like 8 basic lands. I think I am going to get my ramp over time going and just throw this into play. Like, I am hopeful that this at least breaks even with Prismatic Lens. More importantly here, this gives me colored mana on rate instead of colored mana that costs me extra. Prismatic Lens is kind of one of the worst options here as far as 2 mana rocks go, but despite how old Magic is, there's only so many of those that you could play in a 2-color Commander deck, so sometimes you have to dip into the worse effects in Commander. You know, you don't get to play 4 Force of Wills. You play a Force of Will, a Force of Negation, a Flusterstorm, a Daze, yada 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 yada. We're getting another Crom. Now this Crom enters tapped, so the Blind Obedience is doing some work. Each one of these players is going to be taking a damage per turn cycle from Mana Vault. This player probably takes a damage per turn cycle from City of Brass on top of that. All right, so we have a Cavern of Souls. A very nice looking Cavern of Souls at that. Human? Human. All right, so Darth Tauron here, mulliganed heavily at the beginning of the game, but now has both Tymna and Crom in play. I can potentially just use Daryl to pick off the Tymna over there. And again, we see focus over here for ad based reasons. Note that not all of the Tymna Crom builds even have Naws anymore. I'm not in tune enough with the format to tell you like why that is or which builds do and don't have that, but I know enough to know that's a thing. My interactions with cEDH are play 20 or 30 games in a weekend while at a command fest or something like that, and then don't play for a month or two, and then binge way too many matches again. So I guess I'm wondering what this player is going to do this turn. They haven't really done anything too impressive yet, and I'm wondering why their hand was a keep. So I'm expecting a big play here. White Plume Adventurer. We know that one on this channel. Not sure that playing White Plume Adventurer is actively good on this board. It encourages them to get hit by these multiple Croms that are in play. It's also kind of weird for me with this Daryl that I was planning on using. Daryl's also has a little bit of tension with like getting this through. When does this happen? My upkeep? Cool, so I do control a mountain or forest, so this enters untapped. I'm going to hit the person with 37 here, who does control the Tymna already. So in we go. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a basic forest here, I think. Might end up carrying about a bunch of green mana in a single... Hello? In a single turn cycle. I think I only want to cast one spell here because of the multiple Croms that are in play. So we'll get Daryl in play. Daryl can ping Tymna. I also have Pyroclasm as a thing that matters. We might end up in sort of a weird combat heavily matters matchup. But the Blind Obedience does some weird stuff as far as like attacks and blocks go, especially with this involved. I am just going to go ahead and always yield to these triggers so I don't have to mess with them in the future. This is a lot of self-damage per turn cycle. Tymna exists as something that can help offset that. Ooh, Spirit Guide, so there's some big play for a tapped Soul Ring. I wonder if that was an intentional play or if somebody forgot about Blind Obedience. In person, you get to read the look on people's face as you point to their thing and goes, enters tapped. So that is a Tymna with 1 mana floating. So I think they fully forgot about Blind Obedience and had other plans for their turn. So the way this probably goes is attack over here, take the initiative, then this person attacks over here with one of their creatures to take the initiative. No. Actually, I guess if these players don't have basic lands, holding the initiative doesn't matter as much. So this is a reasonable attack. So you hit here, pay 1, draw a card, incentivize the opponent to go this way with the Crom, maybe this way with the Tymna. I don't know, people might not actually mess with the initiative. Like, I could definitely see timelines where you just keep whacking each other and trying to reduce life totals rather than mess around with the initiative. Like, I have done enough of this that I know the power of the later half of this dungeon in Commander. In my Preston EDH deck, I tend to find that if I activate Throne of the Dead 3, I just win the game that turn almost every time. And I'm going to kind of assume that the same is going to be true for a cEDH deck. Okay, what is this double? Creatures with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Ability of a creature you control power 2 or less triggers, it triggers an additional time. Power 2 or less. Double Tymna triggers is sweet. So this opponent is going to be incentivized to attack multiple players to do like a draw 4 with Tymna. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to get whacked by Tymna. The Crom is going this way. Yeah, so it looks like they are ignoring the initiative. I probably have to Pyroclasm on my turn. So here we see the double Tymna triggers from Delny. So now all of a sudden, this opponent that mulliganed to 4 at the beginning of the game now has 9 cards in play, multiple sources of card advantage in play. So this Steam Vents was shocked, indicating some sort of blue reactionary spell. Things off the top of my head, I mean, I guess it could be a Pyroblast as well, but the ones that we would care about are blue. So think your Flusterstorm, Spell Pierces, Offer You Can't Refuse, that sort of stuff. I like really don't want to use Pyroclasm and go down 2 of my own things. I don't know that I can just let all of this stuff sit here. I can also use Daryl to kill a Crom. All right, so White Plume is coming in here. Ooh, yeah. I like that. Now if I kill these Tymnas end up hanging out in exile instead. Now all of a sudden my Pyroclasm looks a lot better. The problem is this. Ether Sworn Canonist. That draws my opponent some cards. So now it's sitting on the stack here. Okay, it is Stern Scolding. I'm super happy to see this mana tapped though. Okay, so now I get to give someone some zombies. It doesn't super matter as long as Pyroclasm resolves. It's not this player. The initiative is a thing. Kind of want to send the zombies over here. There's a Scalding turn. I don't have any opposition agent style things that I have to worry about. There's no Archon out or anything. I'm probably just going to play this and fetch on my own turn here. I imagine that I have a red-green Surveil land in this deck. My opponent says, thank you for the creature tokens, my dude. No problem, friend. Attack you. Attack you. Alright, so now I'm going to get a basic. Up a red this time. I'm going to say, maybe don't thank me yet, lol. As we try to clear them out. Tymna's too scary. My opponent over here says, strong play. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that feels good. Go ahead and always yield to those. So now the Canonist is gone. I can play extra spells. I'm not going to fetch just yet. What the fuck is this? The first creature spell, 2 less. When opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, 2 damage to that player. Got it. So I'm probably now going to kill this Crom. Opponent says, oh, how I wish I had my Bowmasters. I would kill it. I would kill it dead. Ooh. Let's now go 2 damage to that Crom. Deflecting Swat. No. No. Now is it Dranith or is it Daryl? Strunk. Daryl deals 2 damage to Daryl. Damn you, Dranith Magistrate. Okay, this game is fun. Queue times for the format, absolutely terrible. Gameplay, honestly pretty fucking good. Yes, I will return Daryl to the command zone. So Dranith doesn't let me cast the spells off at Tali. I'm going to probably let these Crom players draw a card. I'm just not sure how I am going about that. I don't know if it's Fauna Shaman plus Llanowar Elves or just like Shadow to help deal with life totals. Life totals seem incredibly relevant. This Grand Arbiter might end up coming down. I think I need to Fauna Shaman. I'm going to do that uncounterably. What's this one? Enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. I do control 2 or more basic lands. I'm going to get Taiga anyway. I like Taiga better. Yeah, I think for my own purposes, I am letting these players draw cards. I think one or both of these players is going to just naturally die via combat damage. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a turn here. If Dranith dies, Atali is a good play. Otherwise, I'm probably just Fauna Shamaning away my dockside, oddly, and turning it into something that has a real chance of winning the game. That might be something like a Rurik Thar, just raw damage. I have to start figuring out like how I am killing Lost in Thought, because I imagine that they are the biggest threat to me specifically. Like, one of these two players is going to die, and I'm going to hope that, like, some combination of Dranith, Blind Obedience, and counterspells from the other of these players end up keeping either one of the Timnacrom players from just doing something like an Underworld Breach line that kills us all. I'm not super well poised to just kill a person from 40 right now without access to my commander. Ooh, is that no attack with Crom? That is no attack with Crom. Gonna continue to see the Mana Vault bleed damage here. So SLC1 over on the left side has left up a bunch of mana, probably in respect of a potential combo turn from the other players here. I don't know what combos, if any, the Grand Arbiter deck is playing. If I was not actively recording and I was just casually playing this game on Magic Online, I would probably just like pull up a deck database Grand Arbiter list and thumb through. But I don't have the mental energy to deal with 4 board states and record and be looking at something on the other monitor too. So forgive me for not checking up on that. Okay, this is another Crom being held back. So Trap probably happens here. No, it's going at SLC1 instead. We have 2 very unhealthy players and 2 very healthy players. We might start to see the extort triggers off Blind Obedience actually happening, depending on what the rest of their turn conceptually looks like. All right, so the White Plume attack is going here. Oh, no. That's incredibly scary. That is very scary. So the White Plume Adventurer player can now replay White Plume Adventurer, go one further into Archives, and then Throne of Dead 3 happens at their next upkeep. I can't get through. There are 2 flyers here that can get through. This is probably the point where I am going to use chat to just point this out. Ooh, we are getting a copy. Please not my Fauna Shaman. It is going back at the Crom. All right, so this offer you can't refuse is going to counter the Chain of Vapor copy and make the other Crom player draw a card. This is opponents, right? Yeah, so these treasure tokens are going to enter untapped, and the stack clears. Oh, it's Torpor Orb. And it's Torpor Orb prior to recasting White Plume Adventurer, which is interesting. I'm not going to say wrong, because they have a bunch of cards in hand. Ooh. What are you doing over there, Darth Tauron? We have like a breach to worry about? Okay, shit's happening. Here we go. 5 mana? It's not black, so it's not Adnaz. It is black. Oh, is it Naz? It's a Naz from 14. Okay, holy stack, Batman. Alright, so damage from City of Brass resolves. Enlightened Tutor is now on the stack. SLC1 says, oof, I can't Naz at only 14 life. So a lot of times, When I see an Enlightened Tutor, I'm thinking that the card that is going to come up is going to be something like Underworld Breach, sometimes a One Ring, sometimes a Rhystic Study or something like that. Dranith Magistrate definitely constrains some lines. Okay, it is a Rhystic Study, so it's just another fair card advantage engine, not attempting an immediate win. Okay, I think we are actually getting to the point now where the stack is going to clear. Okay, it does. So without White Plume Adventurer being replayed, Throne of the Dead 3's not a true threat for another turn cycle. I guess that's nice. There is a Torpor Orb in play. There is a Torpor Orb in play. There is a Torpor Orb in play. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 mana. Ruric Thar comes to mind. Oh, this is so many things to look at. I'm going to look at the ones with high CMCs. So you, I don't care about. Kiki Jiki? Kiki Jiki is cheeky. I kind of just want to get Ruric Thar, though. It's so much damage. And I think that's relevant here. It's also just a big body to attack into Lost in Thought. Okay, Ruric Thar is in play. I don't have a valid attack with Llanowar Elves, so I'm going to be passing the turn here. Lost in Thought claims to not have any good creatures. And I legitimately don't know whether or not that's true. SLC 1 is dropping out to go cube. They think that they are beat. Oh, it's still their turn? I guess we go through the remaining phases of their turn and then we proceed to here. Then there were 3. Alright, so here is an attack to take the initiative, which helps a lot. They might not be able to hold the initiative, though, because the Blind Obedience keeps defenders from blocking afterwards. So no basic land here to find. Again, not unexpected from the 4-color deck. And Tauron holds up a bunch of mana. Person who talks about how the initiative doesn't matter immediately tries to take the initiative back. Classic. So the awkward thing here is, like, I do have this Ruric Thar in play, so a removal spell on this Dranith Magistrate is incredibly, like, pricey. Ooh, onboard tricks! There's a haha, you fell for my trap in chat. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I missed that one. Like, Minamo was on my radar when it was originally played, but enough stuff has happened this game that I had forgotten about it. Cards are small in these 4-player games. Yeah, there's the block. So my Daryl is online. I don't know that I want to introduce a bunch of zombies into the game right now, though. I guess Atali's also online. So is more other bigger Atali, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that other Atali is 7. Oh, okay, well, that's a thing. You control Hanowar battlements and a creature named Hanowar Garrison. Okay, I think that's not happening. So is Atali what I actually want? If I do this, I'll just count this land. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 mana. I think I need to actually look at my deck list here. My creatures enter tapped, so Kiki Jiki is worse. Where's Giant Atali? This is on cast. This is on cast. It'll enter tapped. That part's not that big of a deal. How does Combat Celebrant work? It has to attack for that to happen. There is just some open mana over here. Is this A player? This is A player, so my Shadow in the Warp is not exactly great. Go for the other one. I mean, I could also just get this. I think I'm going to go Atali, though. So, land drop, 8 mana. We're in play. I could attempt to take the initiative. I think I care more about reducing this player's life total, though. I think this player is very much held in check by Ruric Thar, Grand Arbiter, Blind Obedience, and Torpor Orb. Mana Vault just inevitably ticking. I think this is a legitimate choice between Forge and Lost Well. Forge means that a block on Ruric Thar is possible. And Ruric Thar is absolutely a problem. Yes, we are going for the +1/+1 counters. How much is it to turn this into Blightsteel Colossus? 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can theoretically do that. No Crom attack. If I do this, it has to be done at sorcery speed. Oh, that's a painful mana crypt. We are seeing the extort. Consecrated Sphinx. Okay. That's a big one. And it's in play. So this player does not have white mana up anymore. I probably just turn this into a giant monster and send a bunch of stuff their way. This still does regular damage. Yeah, you got it. You get some cards. Regular old land drop. 10 mana. Turn it into a death machine. Now my Rurikthar has to attack. I think it's going into the Consecrated Sphinx player. I don't want to just trade Consecrated Sphinx for Rurikthar. It might be happening. I think I'm sending both of these here. I maybe also push damage with Fauna Shaman. The double block is the only thing that kills Rurikthar. I don't care if Fauna Shaman dies right now. If I sneak 17 damage through at the cost of Fauna Shaman getting in, like, I think I am okay with that. Let's do this. Lost in Thought says bad attacks. I'm losing. Right, but I'm winning, so I am going to push the damage here. I think my Rurikthar is going to hold this player in check in all likelihood. And I'm not going to not attack you when you have a Consecrated Sphinx. I'm also unsure that shoving everything this way is better. I think this is worse if this player has a single piece of interaction. Going into Arena, goading this, that's reasonable. This is so many cards. All right, so we are now reaching the point of smack me and hope to reduce my life total to a kind of attainable area. I don't think I block with Rurikthar. I think this card is too important in play, at least for this turn. Mana Crypt and Mana Vault damage is definitely starting to feel real. So with that loss, my opponent gets one spell. Well, okay, more accurately, one non-creature spell, right. That's a White Plume Adventurer. Torpor Orb is in play, so that does not take the initiative here. Seems like that's it for their turn. This player gets a couple of cards. Mana Crypt not super relevant here. So I think I am willing to offensively trade Rurikthar with Crom. I just send a Tali this way, see what happens. The scary world is where I kill this opponent, Crom trades, and they're able to combo off through Shadow in the Warp. I have a Daryl that I can give haste to. So this one's goaded, it has to go this way. I think, going to send this way. I think if I'm going to kill this player with this anyway, they will double block the Rurikthar to decrease my chances of losing. I think this is what I'm doing. World's best Minamo. There's the block. We'll see if there's a Swords to Plowshares or something that keeps this player alive. It is a Teferi's Protection. So my opponent's stuff is going to phase out. All right, so we're going to go to second main phase now. Torpor Orb is not currently in play. Definitely into resolving this spell. So I guess let's go ahead and start there. We'll make my Daryl cheaper if that happens. There is a Vamp Tutor in response. So apparently this player has a mental misstep and is not able to cast it. So there may be some bug going on here. Oh, the issue is the life total can't change. That's what it is. So you can't pay life if you are not allowed to change your life total. All right, so this is in play. I'm not going to play out any artifacts because of potential Dockside Extortionist stuff. I think it's okay to go ahead and cast Daryl, because Daryl can have haste to ping a smaller creature. Note, Daryl's cost is reduced by Shadow in the Warp. So this is now probably Archives rather than Catacombs. It is. I think this player probably could have done better with their Teferi's Protection. I think they can politic me into 100% killing this player rather than going for them. Then neither one of us is at risk of dying to this stuff. Then they get another turn and another 3 cards to try to deal with Tali Rurikthar. I don't know, maybe they need me to take the Rurik Thar out of play. Their life total is very low. Can't hit a player, can it? Target creature. So there's 2 damage. So I think this has to go to me now. Or I guess that doesn't target, it's an opponent. I guess it could go here. Clock is also starting to become a concern. Although I imagine that if this player doesn't do a Thassa's Oracle win this turn, they're just dead anyway. Cyclonic Rift on Atali. Oh no, this is first non-creature spell. This isn't everyone. This is much worse than I thought. Are so bad. I have a Wishclaw Talisman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. I can play Atali, give Atali haste, kill this player. Initiative is currently over here. This player can kill Tauron. They are at 2. 2. Everybody gets 1. That point of life, obviously very huge here. They attack and kill this player. Oh, they don't. But if they did, I would have a forced direction that I have to send the zombies. This sorcery speed. Here's the card draw. I might end up giving the zombies here so that this player times out and I don't actually have to worry about killing the zombies. Welcome to Magic Online things. End step, I'm going to go ahead and fetch. Do I have a Surveil land in here? I don't. I'll just take an ETB tapped land so I don't have to deal with it. This is 2 damage to target creature. That's not killing anything. Yeah, I think these are going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a big spell. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Godo, get Helm. Can't Helm and equip. Can't Mana Crypt because of Eidolon. I think I need to actually open my deck list here. Oh, I guess Torpor Orb is also in play. That's very much a thing. I could just get something like Brotherhood's End. 3 damage doesn't kill that. Do I have things that just deal direct damage to face? I don't know this deck. Cindervines is interesting. 2 damage to each creature and each player is really strong. That also lets me draw a bunch of cards. If I tutor for Force of Vigor... Actually, what happens if I just cast this and give it haste? I attack for 7 this way. I want to use this Wishclaw Talisman prior to killing this person, presumably by attacking them with Daryl. So let's figure out what I am getting here. Kind of like Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor, take out Eidolon, take out Blind Obedience. That lets me cast a second spell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do an Invasion of Ikoria afterwards. That's not bad. I will give this back here, assuming that I kill this opponent. So do I need to do this pre-combat for any reason? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, Eidolon and Blind Obedience get out. So now I can cast more than one spell, meaning that this Mana Crypt is live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can use 6 mana into this. I can do this for X equals 4 and attack with something. Combat Celebrant is an extra combat step. That's not bad. I think I'm just going to do this. Oh, right. This spell is cheaper. So this is really good. Oh, right. The Torpor Orb is still there. That's less important. Target creature gets haste. I'm going to go ahead and send Daryl this way and just finish off this player. I'm going to send Atali this way. If White Plume blocks, they take 4. If Sphinx blocks, they take 1 and they're still alive. If I just attack, this is fine. The only potential problem is Throne of the Dead 3. That's a lot less scarier with a Torpor Orb in play, though. Right, we are going to see the white. Oh, we are going to see the double block. I will obviously get rid of the Consecrated Sphinx here. All right, so we've got a player down. Terrible lag burst. Mana Crypt is happening. Linvala, Keeper of Silence. I'm just going to take that damage. That's not very much damage. All right, the commander comes back. That's totally fine. Gilded Drake is weird here. Or no, Torpor Orb. Sure. Let's find a way to deal the last couple of points of damage. Choose Tails. Win the flip. Let's figure out what we're doing with this. Is there anything bigger than 7 that I could possibly care about? No. No, probably not. Oh god, what is this? Oh, I see. It's every possible zone. I could get this Atali back. That Atali back. Rukthar back. Where is my library? I legitimately do not know where my library is. So there's my graveyard. There's my exile zone. Is it revealed zone? No. Effects? No. I legitimately cannot find my library. Why is my library not popped out? So graveyard. Well, that's fucking frustrating. I have 2 minutes left on my clock. I can't really figure that out. Let me search my library. Cool. I guess I'll take this Atali. Plan on casting that later. This costs too much mana. Just hold up the extra body, turn this into a giant indestructible thing, and go from there. Oh, right, activated abilities can't be activated because of Linvala. Yeah, why couldn't I search my library? There's another Mana Crypt flip win. I'll go ahead and ping and kill the Selfless Spirit here. Oh, wait, I can't. Right. All this stuff is going to untap due to White Plume Adventurer. There's nothing preventing me from searching my library over here. Oh, the lag. Tails. This is brutal. I can attack in. My attack doesn't really do any good. I believe I am just dead from an all-out attack here. Can't activate this ability or anything. Yeah, I think I win this one if I am not recording and I can pay a little bit more attention to the game. Or if I have a couple of reps with this deck list, but I just don't. I don't know what my easiest and most compact win lines are. Daryl's ability definitely a downside once you are in a 1v1 scenario, though. I also think I probably win this one if I can just tutor my library. Let me know in the comments if I missed something with that. A Grand Abolisher is fine. I am F6'd and still losing time. And then this all-out attack just absolutely kills me. I will concede. GG's. Alright, what are we looking at here? So Timna Jeska means that my small creatures aren't super safe. I don't know this. Okay, so this is the tokens tap for mana thing. Whenever commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, make treasures. Okay. And then Rogsai, which is like storm combo. I have a bunch of mana. I don't have red mana though. I could go Forest, Llanowar, Elves on 1, play a land, play Soul Ring, play Fauna Shaman on 2, not have much to do from there. I don't know that I like this. I also don't know that I really like Lotus Bloom, conceptually. You want to fish for something more interesting. This is 2 mana. It doesn't really do anything. I am fucking terrified of just losing to Rogsai. So there's no blue in this pod. There's no counter spells, and this is probably the fastest deck in the pod. My stacks pieces are also probably of medium power level here. The white stacks pieces are much better against this deck, you know, the Torpor Orb type things. So I am going to ship this one and go to 6. That's technically a counter spell. What do I have? I have Thorn of Amethyst that I could hit. I have Cinder Vines that I could hit. Lecture Oof would be really good. Trinisphere really good. I think I have to keep going. I don't think 2 lands counterspell pass when I'm after Rogsai in position is good enough. I can't Savage Order early here. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Just keep this. So dead to Rogsai. Roxai is on 5. I'm gonna mulligan one more time. Okay. Once upon a time, find a land. Using the land... this is going to be a keep. Kiki Jiki always goes back. Need to stop in Obby Man's upkeep, I think. I think I'm getting rid of Mana Vault. And this one, I think. We're just going to fish any old land out of the deck. Well, it's a land. And now let's remove that stop. That is not a thing that interacts with Rogsai, unfortunately. We'll see how scary these turns are. So part of the power here is that ritual and tutor effects that require a creature being sacrificed just kind of become free with Rog in the command zone. And Silas just basically exists for colors. Every once in a blue moon, it will get cast for some reason. All right, here we go. We are going. It is not a full combo turn. That's honestly not a terrible draw, assuming we get further into this game. I don't have green mana, so I kind of have to do something a little shameful here, I think. Which is Spirit Guide out a Talisman so that I can Cindervines next turn. The Cindervines is maybe not enough by itself. Cindervines helps a lot with a Naz-based line. Okay versus Underworld Breach. If I have the third mana, the Cindervines becomes a lot more attractive because then it can use the other mode of sack to destroy an artifact or enchantment, and at that point you get a lot safer versus things like Underworld Breach and Urza's Saga. Within the context of Legacy, Urza's Saga is traditionally like the construct tokens are the reason why you're doing it, and in cEDH, the tutor is the reason why you're doing it because you have powerful things like Soul Ring and Jeweled Lotus that you can go and get off of it. So this player can probably get pretty far ahead on mana over the next turn or two. But that is kind of assuming that there is another turn or two. The Rogsai player does only have 3 cards. Is this the thing that is the land on the other side? No, this is the thing that melds. Got it. Okay, well, turn plays itself. So this player has tutored. It could be for a win condition. It could be for disruption. It could just be for mana. Like just getting something like a Soul Ring this early is definitely not crazy. Yeah, Mana Crypt. And a Burgi. Not willing to pay the 2 life to bluff interaction. So Saga's going to tick up. My opponent can make Urza Saga tokens that have Birds of Paradise dot ability or Llanowar Elves ability. So here's the Guild Artisan enchantment. So whenever their commander attacks, they're going to get 2 treasure tokens. It does have sort of a rider on it if no opponent has more life than that player. So they lose a little bit of agency in who they attack. Alright, so this player has Urza Saga activations at the ready. I would love to draw a land here. Hey, a land. We'll pay the life. And we're going to go ahead and do the mana ramp duder here and swing in, I think still at the Rogsai player. This allows me to potentially play Daryl and start giving people some zombies that can smack people around. The Jessica player can have the ability to kill those zombies a little bit later on. Up a basic forest here. Hello, basic forest. Does enter tapped, so I can't do the sacrifice ability of Cindervines. The Rogsai player is somewhat unlikely to have creatures, so I think I can keep getting 1 land every turn. I also think this is going to be a match that has a decent chance of being decided in a fair combat damage way. I'm going to see Cindervines do a lot of chip damage to my opponents. It's just a Tymna, which is obviously quite powerful here. Every bit of extra card draw matters. Looks like I'm going to take the Burgi hit this time. There's probably some very weird attack hierarchy here for how you want to be damaging people to balance out, like Adnaz over here versus Guild Artisan over here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time thinking about it and like trying to figure out, oh, which attack is correct. There is a Jessica. I imagine that my opponent is going to only starts on 2 loyalty. Yeah, that's fine. If this was real life, I would have tried to politic to keep this alive. I'm on a mulligan to 4, and if I am going to play my things that allow me to stop Rogsai, like having access to a green creature so that I can natural order, is a really big deal. Ooh, that was good enough for the deflecting swat. I guess one of those targets is just going to get changed to the Timna. Did that not do the thing? Digital Bath cast that. I'm a little confused about what happened there. I'm going to guess Moto misclick. Alright, so we've got end of turn Urza Saga token. Now we're going to get the Urza Saga search. Not another construct. Okay, it is just more mana still. And note here that the treasures are particularly good as this commander allows the tokens to just tap for green. What is this? Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, look at top card of your library, land card, reveal it, put it into your hand. If you don't, you may put it into your graveyard. Got it. Okay. This is a very real amount of damage that can turn into a very real amount of card draw. So there's just physically 10 damage getting thrown around this turn. No, it's more than that, right? Because the commander is going to attack and make 2 treasure tokens, which will then grow the construct token further. So Digital Bath. Alright, so Digital Bath is taking the construct token, and Jaheira Haza is taking the boo. Oh, that's cute. This is sweet. This is like awesome casual EDH vibes. I don't say that as an insult, but like this is the sort of engine stuff that I love assembling. Okay. Hobbyman currently appears to be at a relatively large advantage in terms of board state here. That's horrifying. So this is traditionally used for a win with Thassa's Oracle, but it in a pinch can just be used as a somewhat risky tutor, because if the card that you name is in the top 6 cards, you just lose. They have named Tainted Pact. Okay. So this allows them to kind of go for the perfect card. So since none of the cards have a shared name, they can just kind of keep going. Are these revealed zone? Where are these at? X zone? Nope. Well, you can see them over here. They're going very quickly, so it seems like they have a specific card that they are going for. With Consultation and Oracle both being used, Breach is gone, Last Chance gone. A lot of stuff's going. Yogwill not good enough. Necro not good enough. This is scary. Fuck, what if Oracle is already in hand? What if Oracle is already in hand? A couple cards left here. Grinding Station, Mana Vault gone, Gamble gone. Ragavan Bergi. I'm sorry, this is the deck pile. I think I pointed to hand. Still not many cards. Still haven't seen Oracle. Uh-huh. 2 cards remaining. 1 card remaining. So opponent is going to draw a card, cast Thassa's Oracle, and attempt to win. Something like a red elemental blast over here could do something. This is why I was so terrified of Rogsai during mulligans, by the way. Deck is good at winning. So we can force this player to draw a card. We can counter Thassa's Oracle. Those are the primary things. Otherwise, we might just be dead here. And we are indeed dead. We put up 1 win, so we get 50 play points back, which is perfectly fine, because I think that's how much it costs to enter one of these. Okay. That was mostly fun. I largely enjoyed that. I don't think I would want to play this commander again. I think the board wipe card draw was like really fun when it happened once, but I think like once you end up in these 1v1 situations, giving your opponents 3 zombies every turn is like a definite downside. So I think I just kind of conceptually dislike the commander. I think that if I played a few more games with this, I would be at the point where I was comfortable with what was going on in terms of the lines. But it's really hard to like be sent a deck list and just record in 100 cards singleton format. With the slicer deck, like that was play patterns I was super familiar with, and I think that was very easy for me to record. With this one, which has a bunch of moving parts in terms of like a pseudo, well, I guess it is actually a Splinter Twin combo and like Godo and stuff, in addition to just like the Ferratali lines and Bloodthirster lines and all of that. Um, I think it is a little harder to do this on the fly while I'm also spending a lot of mental energy narrating what's going on. So I think this is a little logistically difficult to record. I think the deck list was fine. I think the deck list was a cEDH power level deck list. I think it is kind of cool construction. But ultimately, I think we end up playing a lot of things that are a low format power level. And by being in red green, we miss out on a lot of the really strong things that exist in the format. Like we have Dockside, but we don't have Nas, we don't have Rhystic Study, we don't have Mystic Remora. I don't know that I am the most excited to play a red green deck. I feel like I had decent options and decent agency, but like as we saw, like when I get paired against faster decks, I don't know that I can keep up. Just on the average draw, I'm not that stacksy. A bunch of the best stack pieces exist in white, especially if you want the redundancy. So overall, I'm going to give the deck list a thumbs up in terms of being fun and enjoyable to play, but I think a thumbs down in terms of like ultimate competitiveness. But obviously, and very obviously, I did not pilot this deck optimally, and I will fully admit that. I think most of the time, if I'm not recording, if it's not my first time with this deck, I think I like very easily win game 2, and this is a 2-1, but it's never a 3-0. Absolutely never a 3-0. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. It's like 9:30 at night. I am a sleepy boy, so I'm going to call it a day. Should you need some cards, check out TOAmagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. And yeah, good night, good afternoon, whatever, wherever you are. I hope it's good. See ya.